Hi everyone, in this video I want to talk to you about breaking out from dysfunctional family patterns. In other words, breaking the cycle of dysfunction. So what does it mean to be a cycle breaker? And what does this journey might entail? And also I'm going to talk to you about what rewards you as a cycle breaker might expect. Hi, I'm Renata Gomide, healthy relationship expert and clinical hypnotherapist. And today we're talking about breaking family patterns or breaking family dysfunctional cycles. And what does it mean to be a cycle breaker? So with so much information that is available to us now, and so much healing that is available in today's world in terms of therapy and other healing modalities, a lot of people are starting to be aware that the dynamics that they grew up in, or the family models that they grew up in, weren't particularly supportive, let's say, and in most cases were pretty damaging. And so when this happens, when you become aware of what you lived through and how that affected your life and your mind and your health and all that, there is a big fork in the road. There are two sort of major ways that people can choose to go on. And one of them is victimhood and kind of staying in that victim consciousness, sort of continuing on that cycle. And another choice is healing. And this is what we're going to be talking about today, is that breaking the cycle. So choosing healing, choosing different way of being, different way of seeing yourself, and different way of relating to people in our lives. I talk about it a lot in my videos and obviously with my clients who are cycle breakers, whether they are just doing it for themselves or they also have family now, they have children, and that's very important to them to not continue on the same way. And they understand that this requires work and this requires effort to stop continuing the same pattern. Because again, the pattern is a subconscious business, let's say. And one thing about subconscious mind, it likes what is familiar. So your subconscious mind does not have that kind of morality where it can decide, oh, this is good and this is bad, and that is right and this is wrong. It's just continuing what is familiar. So it requires effort consciously decide of what you want, but also effort to work subconsciously to change that familiar pattern into something new. And that means healing potential trauma or potential neglect that you experienced in your upbringing or in your environments of the family you grew up in. And changing that subconsciously will obviously help you to change your everyday behavior so much easier, rather than kind of willpower through your behaviors and try to change them that way. So a cycle breaker is someone who become aware of their family's sort of core beliefs and habits and emotional behavior and all those kind of things that they can now see are not particularly healthy. And they are also someone who decided not to continue living their life in the same way. They want to create something new that works for them, that actually nourishes their well-being and potentially their children's well-being. One of natural qualities of a cycle breaker is curiosity and that desire to learn more and explore more, and actually that inner knowing that there is something else out there. So even as children, if you think back and if you see yourself as a cycle breaker, you will remember that even in your childhood, you already knew that inner knowing was present within you, that something is not right, something is not quite adding up. How adults are behaving around you and how they are treating you, and you were able to notice the difference in other families, for example. So a lot of times when I work with clients now who are adults and we go back and explore the past events, a lot of my clients would say that as children they felt different in a family. So, they would use words like black sheep or I was scapegoated. And they felt that they didn't quite fit in, they didn't quite belong with the rest of the family. So even then, they already knew, perhaps they didn't have that kind of concept of they're going to break out of those family norms when they are adults and they're going to create a completely different relationship. But even then, they already knew that something was different about them. And perhaps that caused them pain at the time, but right now it is their strength. And of course, being that cycle breaker requires a lot of courage, because I'll talk about it in a minute, because obviously you will encounter resistance from the family who wants to stay the same, who are not aware or not even curious about whatever is going on within this unit. And they don't see the need to change because, like I said, that familiar pattern of the subconscious mind just keeps going. So that courage might be expressed through going into learning or even choosing professions to do with healing, because we are trying to heal ourselves in the process of helping others. That's not necessarily the best way to do it, but that's the way that we find. And this is something that I experience myself, and I see it in my clients, going into psychology or going into learning about different family structures and gathering that information, what makes people behave in a certain way, gathering information about generational patterns, let's say, and just exploring what is out there and trying to understand how all of these things affect our psyche and our behaviors and all that. And yes, this path can be hard, and this path can be lonely and isolating, because you will encounter resistance from the family, and perhaps you will experience judgment and shaming and all that, because again, you breaking out from the system and wanting something different for yourself is threatening the familiar family unit and how things are, how things have always been. And suddenly here you are trying to introduce something different and perhaps place boundaries and, express yourself. And that is actually threatening to people who don't see the problem, who want to stay the same, who want to continue exactly the same way. And suddenly now they see you as somebody disturbing the peace. So I remember this one particular moment where it was the beginning of my journey and I started to take care of myself and especially my mental health, and I was meditating every day and I was, changing a lot of things in my life. So, for example, stop taking pharmaceutical drugs and all that kind of stuff. And I was feeling very different, finally feeling clarity in my mind and resilience. And so one day there was the familiar pattern where my mom was freaking out for whatever reason. And I just sat there without reacting to that thing that I would normally react before and become defensive and become, also agitated. And I just sat there quietly observing the situation. And she was getting even more frustrated and saying things like, "You've changed and I don't like you this way." And obviously I understand that this was her reaction responding to the threat that she felt while experiencing my kind of new behavior and refusal to participate in that familiar pattern where we both were super triggered and, shouting at each other or something like that. So just be aware that this kind of unpleasant phase, let's say, might happen and most likely is going to happen, because that can be taken as a subconscious threat. And you might hear your family members saying certain things to you, such as, "You are being ungrateful for all I've done for you. This is what you come up with. You are being selfish. The problem is you and not your family. Stop complaining. You were given everything. You were fed. You had roof over your head. And now you're just being selfish. I don't like this new you. I prefer you before you started your therapy. What is this new boundary business? Families don't have boundaries. Ah, okay, so you're too good for us now, right?" So these are just some examples at the top of my head that you might hear once you start breaking out of that cycle and setting boundaries and actually starting to introduce your authentic self to the family. Because let's be honest, before you were not your authentic self. You were enmeshed in a particular pattern, people-pleasing pattern, codependency pattern, and all that kind of stuff, just in order to be accepted in that particular family system. But right now, as you decided to leave these norms, these become a threat to the existing family. So I already said that curiosity and wanting to learn more are these natural qualities of a cycle breaker. But also, equally important qualities are courage and bravery, because cycle breakers are brave enough to choose themselves, even in the face of shaming, potential rejection, and all that comes to face not just family, but also wider society, because not many people will acknowledge what you are going through. And not many people, including your friends, and this happened a lot to me, where you are trying to share your journey and what you are going through, in that path of breaking a cycle. And then you have, yes, very well meaning friends, but also kind of lightly gaslighting you, saying, well, that's the only mom you have. And, well, that's your family. You just have to, make sure that you have good relationships with them. But what does it mean to have a good relationship? Does it mean to, again, undermine yourself, undermine your own needs, undermine your own health and well-being if those family patterns are emotionally abusive, for example? Why would you continue them just because it's somehow societally accepted? So by breaking the cycle, it's not just about family, it is on a larger scale actually breaking the cycle of that huge dysfunction that we have in our current societies. So now when you listen to all this, you might think, oh my God, why would I do it if that entails pain and potential rejection and potential isolation and all that? Why would I do that? That's scary. But I'm here to tell you that the entry point into something that is so liberating and rewarding will not be through rainbows and flowers. Usually, it is through uncomfort and potential pain. Let me give you certain examples of what are the rewards of breaking that cycle and choosing for yourself how you want to relate to yourself and other people around you. So number one, you will become aware of your own coping mechanisms. And once you are aware, that means it will be much easier to heal them. You will also learn how to protect your energy and your time by placing and maintaining healthy boundaries. That will lead you to co-creating healthier relationships with people who want to meet you in the middle and do that together with you. As a cycle breaker, you will end that pattern of people pleasing and codependency. You will rediscover your true confidence and self-esteem. Another reward is you will be able to build new belief systems within yourself, how you see the world, how you relate to other people, and how you see yourself, what you think about yourself. And that will allow you to really express yourself authentically and stop pretending in order to be accepted or in order to be chosen. And the best reward, in my opinion, is reconnecting to that ability to be an independent thinker and to gain that freedom to be yourself. So I hope this video was helpful to see that you're not alone in this business of cycle breaking, and more people are waking up to it, and more people are becoming aware, and more people are choosing to go on this path in order to gain these rewards that I've just mentioned. and in order to actually nourish themselves. And that's what we deserve. So if you are a cycle breaker, drop a comment below, say hello, let's connect and support each other. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. And if you need any further help, you know where to find me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.